Toni Williams, and this is Brooklyn Today. Hi, I'm Toni Williams, and this is Brooklyn Savvy. We're here at the Brooklyn Historical Society, and on this particular episode, we're going to be talking about In Pursuit of Freedom. And I think for many of our viewers, they may not know that Brooklyn was a slaveholding capital, as well as a site for a lot of abolitionist activity. So with that, before though, Brooklyn, I get started, let me introduce the Savvy panel. We have Daniela Romano, Denise Arbisu, Jennifer Jones-Austin, and then our hostess and guest today, Deborah Schwartz and Pam Greene from Weeksville. So thank you, ladies, so much for joining us. So talk to us about this In Pursuit of Freedom exhibit. I'm going to start with you, Deborah, then I want Pam to also weigh in.
Okay, great. In Pursuit of Freedom is really a project that has lots of components.
I'm sorry.
It's quite all right.
Right.
It has exhibitions as part of it, but it is really a huge effort that has taken us, I would say, 5 years, right, Pam? And it started out with a massive research project where we're really taking a look at the history of abolition in Brooklyn. And it's a subject that has not really been fully explored and researched before, so we're excited to do that.
Why is that?
Why hasn't it been researched or exposed?
Because
Because why hasn't slavery and abolitionist movements been really deeply researched and explored in America in general? I think in Brooklyn, much like New York, and all of us have been or participated or went to see the New York Historical Society's slavery exhibit, that was like, new news to a lot of people, unfortunately, but that was new news.
right.
And so the same thing is true of this project. It's new news to people that Brooklyn was a slaveholding capital, and that at the same time there were people, ordinary people, who were in the business, if you will, of freeing slaves or getting rid of slavery. So there was an anti-slavery movement and an abolitionist movement. And because those stories are unknown, that's one of the reasons this project was put together. How do you tell the story of everyday people and the kinds of things that they did in order to free slaves in a city, because Brooklyn at that time was a city, where this is an active commerce thing, it's economic.
I'm amazed.
And,
Go ahead.
and the fact is that most people, when they think of Brooklyn, they think of it as this urban place.
Exactly.
It was not urban. It was farmland. So
But
it's an
what
agricultural.
challenges me, though, is, now see, I thought that slavery was basically in the South.
Well, that's because that's what you learned, just like I did.
Right.
That's exactly what you learned, that New York did not have slaves.
Right.
So that is another reason this history is not commonly told.
An important part of the history here in Brooklyn and New York is that actually, as a result of this being an economy built on slavery, most people were pro-slavery in the period building up to the Civil War. So, we have newspapers that still exist in Brooklyn that at this period of time, in the 1840s and 50s, were actually pro-slavery. And in fact, Walt Whitman, who worked for the Brooklyn Daily Eagle.
Oh, now that
Many people think that slavery, it was like, like there was the Emancipation Proclamation and that was it. It was just like, on one day we were slaves and on the next day we weren't. And this kind of tug of war, this push and this pull, and people having to work, from many different angles continuously.
So are you saying they had to buy their freedom in a sense, like once they were free?
That was one
way.
of the strategies.
But it was gradual emancipation. It happened over time, and it happened in New York in 1827 and up until 1865 or so. So you're talking about emancipation as an ongoing phenomenon, because it is actually going on right now. We are not necessarily free. There's no fugitive slave law. But there are events and happenings to which you
I find